Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Amusun Abdemi Felicia. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're not new, welcome back. This is Bezali's Place. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to cut a trouser, a short trouser, or a short, whatever you want to call it. Just look at the back of this dress. Look at every side of it, like it's giving. It's so perfect. Look at the pockets also. It's well seated. So I'm just going to teach you guys how to do about this. Without further ado, let's just go right into it. So the first thing you do is to draw a straight line, just like so. At the edge of your fabric, draw your brown paper, draw a straight line. Don't mind the other line. I actually was recording, not knowing that my phone wasn't recording it, so I thought to start all over again. You know the way we go about it here, very easy. So the first thing to do is to divide your hip, or the person you're sewing for. Divide the hip by 4. So after dividing the hip by 4, actually this one I got 9 inches. You indicate where the hip stopped, and that point where it stopped, that is where you draw your straight line. That is your sitting line. So you measure your sitting from that top. Don't forget that we actually started where our hip stopped, so our sitting is also 9. Now, you know, I told you earlier in one of the tutorials I did in the past that the easy way to actually get your sitting is to divide your hip by 4, and then it will give you your exact sitting. So it's actually most useful, especially when you're sewing high waist trouser. So we have 9 inches, just like so, at the sitting measurement. So the next thing to do is to measure your lap or your thigh. You divide your thigh or your lap by 2. So this person measurement is 22, divided by 2 is 11. I'm sure you're wondering, we didn't add any seam allowance. We'll do that at the back of the trouser. So the next thing to do is to draw a straight line, just like so, to indicate your lap or your thigh measurement. So after drawing the straight line, you can go ahead and then measure your short length. Now this is relative, depends on how short you want it. And so I made use of 20 inches. 18 inches actually the actual length that I used, but then I had 2 inches seam allowance to it. You know, we want the seam allowance to be big, so I had 2 inches seam allowance to it. So I'm trying to make sure that the line is straight. That's why I measured the 18 inches around the trouser length, like so. So after that, I draw the straight line. The first line is the actual length, and then the other line is the seam allowance. So now the next thing to do is to measure. So the next thing to do now is to minus 1 inch from the downward part of your trouser, just like so. You minus 1 inch. This is actually if you want it to be fitted, but if you don't want it to be fitted, if you want it to be free at your thigh style, you can just leave it like that. So you minus 1 inches and then draw a straight line. Let it reach the point where your hip or your thigh is. So you draw a straight line, just like so. This is actually very easy, guys. Just follow it, just follow the video. You definitely understand what I'm trying to do. So the next thing to do is to go ahead and measure your knee round. That is where your trouser length stopped, because it's a short actually. So the knee round here is 18. I'm going to divide it by 2, which is going to give me 9. The knee round is 18, so divided by 2, which is going to give me 9. So I'm just going to measure it just like so, where my trouser length stopped. I'm going to measure it at my trouser length, and also at the seam allowance. You can see where I actually stopped measuring from. It's from where I actually minus the 1. So the next thing now is to draw a straight line from my lap straight to my trouser length, and then the knee round length also. So now we want to make sure that that place is curved. So you use your French curve to achieve the curve part, so that it will not be, you know, it will be very easy for the person to move, and it won't actually cause there to be any friction at that side. So afterwards, you cut out your pattern, just like so. You guys can see that it's very easy, right? So the next thing to do now is to put our front pattern and place it on our back pattern, so that we can cut out the back pattern. Afterwards, you will measure 1.5 at the back pattern, 1.5 inch. You know that our bum is usually bigger than our front. So at that sitting side, which is the lap, okay, before doing that, you can just draw a straight line, just like so. It's slant line. You know, we measured 1/2 from that point, so you draw a straight slant line, and then go ahead and measure 3 inches at the sitting side for the back. You add 3 inches to the back. You know that we did not add any measurements or any allowance to the front piece, so all of the allowance will be added to the back to make it really perfect. So I add 2 inches to that side, and then to where the nail round is, I also added 2 inches. 3 inches to as the sitting, 2 inches downward. So now the next thing to do is to draw a straight line, just like so. After drawing a straight line, you then add it to the downward part. You know your trouser length definitely has to be the same, so you draw a straight line to just make sure that they all meet each other. I'm trying to broaden it so that you guys can see it clearly. So at that other part, upward part, I added 1.5 inches allowance, which is going to be the allowance for my zip and also for the side. You can actually add 2 inches, but the person I'm sewing for doesn't really have is not of a big size, and that is why I added 1.5 inches allowance. So then you go ahead and draw a straight line. Don't forget our curve. You take your French curve and also draw out the curve for the back as well. So after achieving your curve, I'm trying to make sure that it's bold for you so that you guys can see clearly. So after achieving your cut, you see that all of the allowance that we added was to the front. We didn't add any allowance to the side part. Every of the allowance is to the sitting side. So the next thing to do now is to cut out your back piece. You guys can see how easy this is, right? Super easy. So just cut out your back piece just like so. Now then you can detach your front piece from the back piece. Actually, the reason why it's actually very good for you to attach it so that you can get a perfect cutting. So you can see the front piece and the back piece. Now for the dart, I prefer to actually add my dart directly to the fabric instead of cutting it out on the pattern. So you can then place your pattern on your fabric and cut it out. I'm trying to use the pen to make sure that the pattern is well set on the fabric. So I have another tutorial on how I actually sewed it, the entire sewing process. So it's going to come immediately after this tutorial, please guys. So try as much as possible to watch that. Also, if you want to learn how to attach pockets, sew it perfectly to bring out the nice shape and everything, I have a tutorial on that, so you can just check it out on my YouTube channel. And please don't forget to subscribe, like and share. You know I'm always here for you guys. If there's anything you don't understand, just feel free to let me know. So you cut out the pattern on the fabric like so. This is the back pattern. I already cut out the front pattern. You can see that I'm trying to I attached the paper to the fabric before cutting it out to achieve a perfect cut. So this is the front and then the back piece. So now for you to actually cut the pocket side, you measure 3 inches from that side upward, 3 inches, and then you knot it. Try to notch it. Not you guys understand what I'm trying to pass across. So 3 inches at that side and then 7 inches downward to achieve your perfect pocket for the short. 7 inches downward, and then you notch it as well. So after notching it, you see how I folded it. I'm going to be adding soft paper, and then I will be folding it just like so, and then I'll show you guys the entire sewing process of the pocket. So if you like to go through that, please don't forget what I said. You can try as much as possible to subscribe and watch my next video. I'm going to be dropping a tutorial on how I actually sewed it. So I don't want this to be too long, so that it'll be very easy for you guys to understand, and then it will not be boring. So the next tutorial is going to be how I sewed it. So if you've not subscribed, once again, please do so. I love you guys deeply. Thank you so much. See you in my next video. Bye.